So today we are going to be talking about how rare is your personality type. Now, of course, there are two things that I want to state right off the bat about this. And first and foremost, how rare your personality type is kind of doesn't really matter in the sense that, sure, Denzel, if it doesn't really matter, why are you making a video about it? Honestly, it's just one of those things that's like, hey, if it's somehow beneficial to you, just to kind of like know, or even sometimes, understand, oh, this is why it's probably harder for me to find people to relate to me and stuff like that. Like, it helped me when I was younger. But what I mean by it doesn't really matter is more that it doesn't make you any more or less special, especially because even the most common personality type, you see differences and nuances throughout all of them. So there are 16 personality types in total. A lot of people think that those are really small boxes to put people in, but take it from somebody who does profiling professionally. I can literally profile like 4 INFPs in a row, and I'd see such a huge difference between all 4 of them, because what makes us all individuals is not just because we share the same cognitive functions or cognitive function stack, but it's how we use it. And so I see people of the same type all the time, and they use those cognitive functions in different ways. And then on top of that, we have culture there, we have exposure to other different types that play a part, we have Enneagram type that plays a part, so many factors. And so this is not to say that no matter how common you are or no matter how rare you are, that you are any more or less special. Every single personality type is equally as special, but there just happens to also be a trend for which ones are most common in the population and which ones are least common in the population, as far as our knowledge can bring us to. So all of that being said, that's pretty much the first thing. And the second thing that I wanted to say was, it's been popularly known for a long time that there is a specific rarest type. And I mean, all of us know at this point, like, I don't really have to hide it, that the INFJ has held that position for a while. But this article that I'm going to be referencing actually says a little bit otherwise. Not too much, but a little bit otherwise, that I thought that was pretty interesting as of recent updated messages. But once again, remember point one, which is that you are not any less special, and you're not any more special. We're all equal, and this is just fun facts to be able to play with. So without further ado, I'm going to get into these numbers. So I'm receiving a lot of this information, or pretty much honestly all of this information, from an article from my friend who works at psychologyjunkie.com. You should definitely go check it out. Her name is Susan Storm. She also has a YouTube channel where I've featured in one of the videos. And she is absolutely amazing. She is, guys, I'm telling you, she is astounding with her work. She samples people who she knows that they are the type that they are. She reads so many books on type, and she's really honed in her TI to understand the ins and outs of all of this type, like Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, learning about socionics, all of these different things. If there is someone who you want to learn about typology from both a fun standpoint, as many of her articles showcase on her website, while also being able to get accurate things from, then Susan is definitely that person. She's quite the perfectionist, I'll tell you that. She works endlessly hard, like super hard, on top of already being a wife and a mother to quite a few children. So she is a superwoman in the flesh. All of that being said, Susan wrote this article about how rare your type is back in 2019, and she based it off of the newest and official MBTI Manual. So this was actual documented information, and she actually received a lot of flack on this article because I guess a lot of people were butthurt about how rare or not rare their type is, or maybe some switches. And she kind of tweeted about it. It was kind of sad. So I want to also let you guys know that if you guys go and check out this article and everything, or even watching this video and you get upset, please don't shoot the messenger. We're just reporting exactly what the research has shown, and we're not even necessarily implying anything at all. Because once again, the main point that you should know is that no matter how rare your type is, and no matter how not rare your type is, every type is equally important. So how was this research conducted? Pretty much, I want to emphasize that this research was taken nationally. So the sampling size was actually 16,773 individuals all over the world from 23 different countries. And so after sampling from all of these different places and from all of these different people, these are the numbers that we ended up getting. And I'm going to be going from the greatest or most popular, most common personality type to the least common personality type. So the most common personality type worldwide is the ISTJ, making up 15.9% of the population. Now, the second to most common popular personality type worldwide is the ISTP, making up 9.8% of the population. Next up, we have the ESTJ, making up 9% of the population. Next up, we have the ISFJ, making up 8.4% of the population. Now, we have the ENFP, making up 8.2% of the population. And this is actually kind of interesting because previously we had the news that intuitives make up about 25 to 30% of the population. And correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't looked at this specific part of research yet, but if I remember correctly, that was only based off of the United States and not necessarily like worldwide. But it seems like when you look at things like more worldwide, then we have a more balanced approach of things. Like although ISTJs are the most in the population worldwide, and so there being sensors, and actually the top 4 are sensors, we still see like our first showing of an intuitive, and it's 8.2%, which is not too far behind the ISFJ. So I think that's pretty interesting. The ISFP comes up next, making up 6.6% of the worldwide population. Next up is the INFP, so yet another intuitive, making up 6.3% of the entire population. Right after that, we have the ESTP, making up 6.1% of the worldwide population. The ESFP, making up 6% of the worldwide population. The ESFJ, making up 5.7% of the population. And I think I want to take this moment right now to mention that the ESFJ, I guess you could say worldwide, is the most rare type of the sensors. And I think that's just something that's pretty interesting. It's even more uncommon. This type is even more uncommon than some of the intuitive types like the INFP and the ENFP that were just mentioned previously. And so it also makes you wonder, like, how many mothers around the world are actually ESFJ? Because, that's a trope. But maybe, they kind of like all are, but also how many of those are just like gender norms that we've like kind of like imposed, and it's like, okay, every mother has a ESFJ side to them, but if we were to put them in a profiling session, would they really test out as ESFJ? Or anyway, the INTP, making up 4.8% of the population. Next up, we have the ENTP, making up 4.3% of the population worldwide. And now we come down to our final 4. The INTJ, there's not exact percentage written down for this one for some reason, but it's the second rarest female of all of the types. and the fourth rarest male of all of the types when we put it together in the population. And then we have the INFJ, third rarest type worldwide, making up 2.3% of the population. And then the penultimate one is the ENFJ, making up 2.2% of the worldwide population. And an interesting note here that the INFJ male and the ENFJ male are the most rare male worldwide, making up 2.8% of the population combined. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting. And last but not least, technically it is the least. The ENTJ makes up 1.8% of the population, and not only that, but is the most rare female of all of the personality types in the worldwide population. Again, according to this sample of 16,773. So I found that to be, all very interesting information that, I just thought that I'd share. Again, the INFJ held the most rare type position, and we're probably still even going to be seeing that like all over YouTube. But now we see that as of most recent updated worldwide population, the ENTJ is actually the most uncommon, making up, again, 1.8%. And especially if you see an ENTJ female, or if you are an ENTJ female yourself, that's a pretty rare combo. And it's always interesting to see those kinds of people as well. You can only imagine the kind of misunderstanding that they have in the world, like trying to navigate the world, being so uncommon. In that sense, being already like thinker females, but then also intuitives and extroverts at that. So all that to say that maybe with this information, do with it as you must, as long as it doesn't hurt people or make you seem superior and other people inferior, which is hurting people, just in case if you didn't know. But yeah, if you are kind of like me, I remember as soon as I learned about type, I didn't even know the exact percentage at the time, but I just knew that ENFJs, especially ENFJ males, were very uncommon. And that made so much sense to me, because when I would try to interact with a lot of the guys back in my old schools, I just always knew that there was a difference to me. And even just in general, like how I interact with people, it's always been very interesting to see, especially somebody who has FE as their dominant function and is always like paying attention to the interpersonal and how we should be treating each other and acting. It was always interesting to see like how I fit into that mold, and now understanding type and understanding like, oh, this is just not really like that common or whatever. It's like that makes sense. So again, I can only imagine like how an ENTJ female maybe like hearing this could possibly be like, that makes sense, and bring some type of like validation. But again, just for the last time, gotta emphasize that this does not mean that ENTJ females or ENFJ/INFJ males or whatever it might be are any more superior to ISTJ males and females, just because of the commonality or miscommonality. I don't think that's a word, but we're gonna roll with it anyway. So yeah, thank y'all for watching. If you have any questions, leave comments, leave the questions. Make sure to check out Susan Storm's article. I'm going to have the description. I'm going to have the link in the description, and also be able to check out her Twitter, as well as her whole website to begin with. There's so many great blogs over there, and she's also on Instagram. So check out that Psychology Junkie website, and until next time, done. Hey, I just wanted to briefly thank you for taking the time to watch this video, whether it was on regular speed or 2x speed, whatever it was. Just thank you for consuming the content. And around me, you should be able to see a few little buttons and logos for other recommended videos because, I make good content, new ones, but then I also have some really good old content too that you should probably check out. But make sure that if you really like this video, feel free to subscribe, to share. It really helps this humble channel to expand and reach more people and ultimately help more people. So once again, thanks for watching and hope you have a great rest of your day.